Princess Seraphina sat on the tall, shining throne of Celestia's grand palace. Around her, the bright halls buzzed with excitement and worry. The Celestian Empire was one of the largest in the galaxy, with many star systems under its rule. But right now, the Empire faced a big problem. Seraphina was a strong and smart leader. She loved her people and worked hard to keep peace and order. But she was not married, and that was a problem. The Empire's laws said the princess must have a husband to help rule and a child to continue the royal line. Without a husband and heir, rival empires could take over Celestia. Seraphina's young son, Leo, sat near her feet. He was only 8 years old but wise beyond his years. Leo did not care about crowns or power. He only wanted one thing: a father. His mother ruled the galaxy, but was often lonely. He wished for someone to be with them, someone to protect them both. The Galactic Council, a group of powerful leaders from different planets, sent a message to Seraphina. The message was clear: she must marry soon or lose her place as the ruler. The council feared war if Celestia looked weak. Seraphina's heart felt heavy. She wanted to marry for love, not for duty. But the Empire needed her to choose fast. If she waited too long, enemies would grow stronger. Leo stood up and looked at his mother. "Mama," he said softly, "I want us to have a father. Someone who loves us both and keeps us safe." Seraphina smiled sadly and hugged her son. "I know, Leo. I want that too. But finding the right person is not easy." Late that night, when the stars shone bright over Celestia, Leo made a brave decision. He would send a message to the whole galaxy, asking for someone kind and strong to marry his mother and protect their home. Using the palace's secret broadcast system, Leo spoke into the microphone. His voice was small but clear. "To anyone out there in the stars, my mother is the princess of the Celestian Empire. She must have a husband soon, or we will lose our home. Please, marry her and help us rule the galaxy. I beg for a father." He sent the message into the vast universe, hoping someone would hear his call. Days passed, and the palace waited anxiously. Then, the stars began to shine with new hope. Messages from many parts of the galaxy started arriving. Warriors, scientists, merchants, and even strange alien beings all wanted to meet the princess. Seraphina and Leo watched the stars, wondering which one would bring the man who could be their family and their future. After Leo sent his message, the whole Celestian palace waited with hope and nervousness. The message was simple but important. Leo wanted someone to marry his mother, Princess Seraphina, and help protect the galaxy. He wanted a father. The palace's communication room was busy. Officers and scribes checked messages from far planets and strange places. Many replies came in. Some were serious, others funny, and some even strange. Seraphina sat quietly with Leo, watching the messages come. She felt tired but hopeful. She knew the Empire's future depended on this. One message came from a brave soldier on the planet Aegis. He said, "I will fight for your people and stand by your side." Another came from a clever scientist who promised to bring new inventions to the Empire. But not all replies were good. Some made jokes about the princess needing a husband. Others sent strange gifts, like glowing stones or tiny machines that hummed. The palace staff laughed quietly, but kept working. The message that surprised them most was from a human. Humans were not common in this part of space, and many thought they were just simple people from a small planet. The message read, "I am Jack, a human from Earth. I may not have fancy weapons or titles, but I have heart and ideas. I want to meet the princess and her son." Seraphina raised an eyebrow. "A human? From Earth? That is unusual." Leo's eyes lit up. "Humans are brave and kind, Mama. Maybe he could be the one." The council gathered in the grand hall to discuss the replies. Many leaders were worried about the strange and powerful suitors, but some were curious about Jack. The council decided to invite a few of the best candidates to Celestia's palace. They wanted to see who could truly rule and protect the Empire. Soon, ships began arriving from many worlds. Warriors in shining armor, diplomats with strange robes, and traders with goods from distant stars all came to the palace gates. Seraphina greeted them with grace but stayed careful. She did not want to marry for power or politics. She wanted someone honest, strong, and kind. Jack arrived last. He wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. But when he met Seraphina and Leo, he smiled warmly. Leo felt comfortable right away. The first meeting was quiet. Jack did not speak much, but his eyes showed courage and kindness. Seraphina saw something different in him, a simple strength that did not need show. That evening, Leo whispered to his mother, "I think Jack might be the father I wished for." Seraphina nodded slowly. "We will see, Leo. The Empire needs more than hope. It needs a leader." Outside the palace, stars twinkled as if watching the new story begin. The search for a husband and a ruler had only just started. The grand halls of Celestia's palace buzzed with excitement and tension. The announcement had been made. The princess must choose a husband soon. Suitors from across the galaxy arrived, each hoping to win Seraphina's hand and the throne. First came General Korvac, a fierce warrior from the desert world of Draconis. He wore heavy armor that gleamed like a burning sun. His voice was deep and strong, full of pride. He told Seraphina about his battles and how he could protect the Empire with his armies. "Strength rules the stars," Korvac said confidently. "I will bring victory and order." Next arrived Leora, a graceful diplomat from the floating cities of Aquaria. She was unlike any suitor Seraphina had ever seen, a woman who spoke with kindness and wisdom. Leora promised peace and trade alliances to strengthen the Empire. "I offer friendship and wisdom," Leora said softly. "The galaxy needs balance, not just power." Other candidates followed, each different and impressive in their own way. A trader from the ice planet Glacius brought rare crystals. A mysterious alien from the shadow realm of Nox spoke in riddles. The palace was alive with new voices and new promises. But through it all, Seraphina felt no real connection. She listened politely but saw only ambition and plans for power. Leo watched carefully from the sidelines. His eyes searched every face for kindness. He remembered his message, his hope for a father who would love them. Then, quietly, Jack, the human, stepped forward. He wore simple clothes, no shining armor or fancy jewels. He did not boast or promise great armies. Instead, he spoke about people, their hopes, their fears, and the future. "I am not the strongest or richest," Jack said, looking at Seraphina and Leo, "but I care about your people. I want to help protect them, not just with weapons, but with ideas and heart." Some laughed at Jack's words. Others whispered that a human could never rule a great empire. But Leo smiled wide. "He listens," Leo said softly. "He cares." Seraphina studied Jack closely. She saw no arrogance, only honesty. That was rare among those who wanted power. The council watched carefully, their faces unreadable. They knew the future of the empire depended on the princess's choice, but they also feared change. That night, Seraphina stood by her window, looking out at the stars. The empire was wide and full of danger. She needed a husband who could be strong and wise. Beside her, Leo held her hand. "Mama," he said, "I want us to be a family. Not just rulers, but people who care." Seraphina smiled and nodded. "We will find the right path, Leo. Together." Outside, the stars twinkled like silent witnesses. The game of suitors was only beginning, and the galaxy waited to see who would rise. The palace halls buzzed louder than before. The suitors came and went, each showing their best side. Yet Seraphina remained uncertain. None had truly touched her heart or shown the strength to rule wisely. But Leo had found hope in someone unexpected. Jack, the human from Earth, was different. He didn't wear fancy armor or talk about battles. Instead, he asked questions, listened carefully, and offered simple, honest ideas. His eyes were full of kindness and determination. One morning, Serafina invited Jack to walk through the palace gardens with her. The air was fresh, and flowers from many planets bloomed around them. "Tell me, Jack," Serafina said quietly, "what do you know about ruling an empire?" Jack smiled softly. "Not much about ruling, Your Highness. But I know about people. People want to be heard. They want to feel safe and cared for. If a leader remembers that, they can do great things." Serafina nodded slowly. Many leaders forget that. Leo ran to them, his small feet barely making a sound on the stone path. "Jack, will you play with me?" he asked, eyes shining. Jack laughed, crouching down. "I would like that very much." For the next hour, Jack and Leo chased each other through the gardens, laughing and sharing stories. Serafina watched, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. Here was someone who could be more than a ruler, a friend, and maybe even a family. Back inside, the palace council met in secret. Many of them doubted Jack. Humans were simple and unknown. Could a human truly rule the great Celestian Empire? But some, especially younger council members, whispered hope. Jack's honesty and heart were rare. The empire needed new ideas and courage, not just power and tradition. The next day, Serafina called all the suitors to the Great Hall. She wanted to see how they would work under pressure. "We will hold tests," she announced, "not of strength or wealth, but of wisdom and care." The suitors looked surprised but nodded. This was different from the usual contests. Jack smiled quietly. He believed these tests would show who truly belonged. That evening, Leo spoke to his mother. "Mama, I think Jack can be the father I want. He's not like the others. He cares." Serafina hugged her son tightly. "We must be careful, Leo. But maybe, just maybe, you are right." Outside, the stars glimmered with quiet promise. A new chapter was beginning, one where a simple human might change the fate of the galaxy. The great hall of Celestia was filled with light and quiet excitement. Today, Princess Serafina would begin the trials. These tests were not about swords or power, but about wisdom, courage, and kindness. One by one, the suitors stepped forward. The first trial was the test of wisdom. Serafina asked each candidate a difficult question about ruling the empire. How would they keep peace between the many star systems? How would they protect the people from danger? General Korvac spoke loudly about strength and armies. "With power, we keep peace," he said. Many nodded, but Serafina looked thoughtful. Lyora, the diplomat, spoke softly about talks and friendships. "Peace comes from understanding and respect," she said. Then it was Jack's turn. He paused, thinking carefully. A good leader listens to all voices, even those who disagree. Strength is important, but without trust, it is empty. The room fell quiet. Serafina smiled slightly. Jack's answer was simple, but true. Next was the test of courage. The suitors were led to a simulation room. There, they faced holograms of dangers, fires, attacks, and emergencies in the Empire's cities. They had to show how they would save lives. Korvac charged ahead, breaking through obstacles with force. Lyora stayed calm, organizing rescue teams with gentle orders. Jack moved with quick thinking. He used tools and ideas to protect the people, not just fighting but planning carefully. After the trial, Serafina said, "Courage is not just fighting. It is protecting with heart and mind." The final test was the test of kindness. Each suitor spent a day in the palace's children's ward, caring for those hurt or sick. Many suitors struggled with this task. Some tried to help but seemed unsure. Jack sat quietly with a sick child named Mira. He listened to her stories, held her hand, and made her smile. Leo watched from a distance, feeling hope grow in his heart. At the end of the day, Serafina spoke. "These trials show who you are, not just what you can do." The council whispered among themselves, impressed by Jack's courage and kindness. That night, Serafina and Leo talked in the palace garden. Jack did well, Leo said softly. He is not like the others. Serafina nodded. He may not be perfect, but he has what matters most. Outside, the stars shone bright over Celestia. The Empire's future felt a little clearer, because sometimes the simplest heart can be the strongest. As the days passed, the excitement around the trials grew. Jack seemed to win the hearts of many, especially young Leo and even some of the council members. But not everyone was happy. In the dark corners of Celestia's palace, whispers and shadows moved silently. A group of powerful nobles and officials feared what a human on the throne could mean. They had ruled the empire for generations and did not want to share power with an outsider. "We cannot let this human take the princess's hand," said Lord Malric, a stern man with cold eyes. "He is too simple, too unknown. The empire will fall if we allow it." His followers nodded in agreement. They began to plan in secret, hoping to stop the wedding before it happened. Meanwhile, Serafina tried to keep her focus on the trials and her son. She sensed tension in the palace, but did not know where it came from. Jack continued to show kindness and courage, unaware of the growing threat. One evening, Leo was playing near the palace library when he overheard a conversation between two servants. "The wedding must not happen," one whispered. "The alliance will be broken if the princess marries the human." Leo's heart pounded. He ran to tell his mother, but the servants had already disappeared. Serafina called a meeting with her trusted advisors and Jack. "There are forces working against us," she said seriously. "We must be careful. The future of the empire is at risk." Jack nodded. "We need to find out who is behind this. If they want to stop the marriage, they must have a plan." The days that followed were filled with quiet investigations. Leo helped by watching and listening wherever he could. Jack used his human skills, asking questions, reading patterns, and noticing small details others missed. Slowly, they uncovered hints of a conspiracy. Secret meetings in the palace tunnels, strange messages sent between nobles, plans to spread lies and cause fear among the people. Serafina felt the weight of the empire on her shoulders, but she was not alone. With Jack and Leo by her side, she found new strength. One night, as they stood looking at the stars, Jack said, "The galaxy is full of dangers, but if we trust each other, we can face anything." Leo smiled. "Then let's be ready." The shadows of conspiracy were closing in, but the family was ready to fight for their future and the future of the Celestian Empire. The palace buzzed with new energy. To bring the empire together and show who was worthy to stand by Princess Serafina, a great event was announced: the Galactic Games. It was a contest of strength, skill, and wisdom, open to all suitors and champions from the empire. The games were more than just battles. They tested strategy, courage, and honor. The people of the empire watched eagerly, hoping the games would reveal the true leader. Serafina stood on the balcony overlooking the arena. Beside her was Leo, full of excitement. "Mama, do you think Jack can win?" Serafina smiled softly. "He has something special, Leo. But these games will be hard for everyone." Jack prepared carefully. He knew he was not the strongest or the fastest, but he believed in his mind and heart. He studied the rules, practiced with the trainers, and learned the customs of the Empire's warriors. The first event was the trial of strength. Fighters clashed with heavy weapons and armor. General Korvac dominated this event, smashing his way through opponents. The crowd cheered loudly for the warrior. Jack did his best, using quick moves and smart tactics. He avoided the strongest hits and found ways to outthink his rivals. Though he didn't win, his cleverness earned respect. Next came the trial of strategy. The suitors faced complex puzzles and battle plans. Lyor and Jack worked well here, thinking carefully and solving problems others missed. Finally, the trial of honor tested the suitors' courage and fairness. They had to protect innocent people during a simulated attack. Jack's kindness showed as he helped the wounded and calmed frightened children. The games brought surprises. Some strong fighters fell, some wise leaders shone, and Jack's human spirit stood out. The crowd began to cheer not just for power, but for heart. During a break, Leo ran to Jack. "You're doing great. Mama is proud." Jack smiled and ruffled Leo's hair. "Thanks, Leo. We're in this together." At the end of the games, Serafina addressed the crowd. "These games show more than skill. They show who cares for the Empire's people. This is the future we must choose." The council nodded, watching Jack with new respect. As the stars twinkled above, the Empire waited. The games were over, but the real challenge, uniting the galaxy, was just beginning. After the Galactic Games, the palace felt different. The people's cheers and hopes filled every hall. Jack's courage and kindness had won many hearts, but Serafina knew the real test was still ahead. In the quiet moments, Serafina and Jack grew closer. They talked about their dreams and fears. Jack shared stories from Earth, a small blue planet far away. Serafina listened, finding comfort in his simple honesty. Leo loved having Jack nearby. The boy's laughter returned, filling the palace with light. He showed Jack the secret places in the gardens and told him stories about the stars. But not everyone was happy. Some nobles still whispered against Jack. They doubted a human could rule a great empire. One evening, during a feast, a loud voice interrupted the celebration. Lord Malric stood, his eyes sharp and cold. "A human cannot lead us," he declared. "This empire deserves a ruler with strength and bloodline, not a stranger from a small planet." The hall grew tense. Serafina stood and spoke firmly. "The empire deserves a leader who cares for its people. Jack has shown courage, wisdom, and kindness." Jack stepped forward. "I do not come from a royal family, but I am ready to stand with the princess and protect this empire with all my heart." The crowd murmured. Some clapped, others stayed silent. Later, Serafina spoke with her council. "We face more than just tests. We face fear and old ways, but the empire must move forward." Jack nodded. "Together, we can show them a new way." Days later, a message arrived. A rival faction planned to attack Celestia while the Empire was distracted. The conspirators hoped to take advantage of the unrest. Serafina, Jack, and Leo prepared quickly. The palace became the center of strategy and planning. Jack's human ideas helped organize defenses in ways the Empire had never tried. He worked with generals and engineers, blending strength and smart tactics. Leo watched proudly. "Mama, Jack is like a true father now." Serafina smiled, her heart full. "Yes, Leo. Together, we are stronger." When the enemy ships appeared on the horizon, the Empire stood ready. The battle for Celestia was about to begin. The sky above Celestia darkened as enemy ships appeared like a storm on the horizon. The rival faction had launched a sudden attack, hoping to catch the Empire unprepared. But Serafina, Jack, and Leo were ready. In the palace war room, the leaders gathered around a glowing map of the galaxy. Jack stood beside Serafina, pointing to the enemy ships. "We cannot win by force alone," Jack said. "We need smart moves and surprise." Serafina nodded. "Use the defenses we have. Protect the people first." The battle began with loud explosions and flashing lights across the skies. Celestian ships fought bravely, but the enemy was strong and well prepared. Jack directed the engineers to strengthen the shields and set traps around the planet. He sent quick messages to allied systems for help. On the ground, Leo watched from a safe place, holding his mother's hand. "Mama, will we be okay?" Serafina smiled gently. "We will, Leo. We are not alone." As the battle raged, Jack led a small team on a secret mission. Their goal was to find and stop the enemy's command ship. Using his knowledge of Earth's technology, Jack guided the team through dangerous space debris and enemy fire. They reached the command ship's weak point, a small, unguarded door. Jack used a tool to open it quietly. Inside, they found the enemy leader, surprised and angry. "You think you can stop us?" the leader shouted. Jack stood firm. "I think we must protect those who believe in peace." With quick action, Jack and his team disabled the ship's controls. The enemy fleet lost its direction and began to fall back. Back on Celestia, the people cheered as their ships pushed the invaders away. The Empire was safe, for now. Serafina hugged Jack tightly. "You saved us all." Leo ran to Jack and smiled. "You're my hero." Jack laughed. "I only did what I had to do, for family." The siege was over, but the challenges were not. The Empire had been tested, and it was stronger. Together, Serafina, Jack, and Leo looked to the stars, ready to build a future where love and courage ruled the galaxy. The sun rose over Celestia, painting the sky with warm colors. After the long battle, peace had returned to the Empire. The people celebrated their victory and the promise of a new future. Princess Serafina stood on the palace balcony, holding Leo's hand. Beside them was Jack, no longer just a visitor, but a part of their family, and soon, the future ruler beside Serafina. The Galactic Council had officially accepted Jack. His bravery, kindness, and wisdom had won their respect. The people had seen a new kind of leader, one who ruled not just with power, but with heart. The wedding day arrived, filled with joy and hope. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered to witness the union that would change history. Serafina wore a simple but elegant dress. Leo smiled proudly as he walked beside her, holding her hand tightly. Jack waited, calm but excited, ready to become the father Leo wished for, and the partner Serafina deserved. The ceremony was beautiful. Words of promise and love were spoken under the vast sky. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if blessing their union. After the wedding, Jack looked at Serafina and Leo. "I promise to protect you both, and this empire. Together, we will face whatever comes." Serafina smiled, her eyes full of love. Together. Leo hugged Jack. "Thank you for being my father." Life in the Celestian Empire changed. Jack brought new ideas, encouraging peace and cooperation between planets. Serafina's leadership grew stronger with Jack by her side. People whispered, "This is a new dawn for the galaxy." No longer just a princess and a simple human. Serafina and Jack were partners, rulers who cared deeply for their people. Leo watched the stars every night, dreaming of adventures to come. He knew his family was ready for the future. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but with love and courage, they would face them all. And so, the story of Princess Serafina, her son Leo, and Jack, the human who came from a small planet to rule the stars, became a legend told for generations.